Well. 18 minutes. What can you do with an 18-minute wait? Well, you can make some popcorn, make a soup or two, make some Chef RD instant ravioli, take a quick bath, or you can cause the entire video game community to wait for actually something good. This is what Sony did last night. I am an Xbox owner. Let me first preface that. Let me second preface this by saying that Xbox One will probably be my primary console. But as a reviewer and as a consummate professional, in the interest of equal time, let me just say this. Sony, where was this 8 years ago when you sold me the PS3? Where was this 8 years ago when I was a loyal PlayStation user? Where was this when you couldn't sell a game, a console, a portable, a TV, a laptop, anything at all? Where was this? Because what I saw last night was honest to God unbelievable. And this is coming from an Xbox user. My mission coming out of yesterday was to have options for a buying decision. You have done just that. Granted, the amount of exclusives that you showed was far less, and this is surprising coming from the company with the largest first party and independent base of the major three. Sorry, Nintendo. Even though you have a lot of noticeable franchises, you don't have the numbers or the balls to release them all. A lot of the trailers shown were teaser trailers of games to be in tech demos, which was really disappointing. There was actually no real gameplay from a first-party game on display. It was really a lot of Assassin's Creed 4, which even in that presentation was a glitch-filled, freeze-filled mess. Destiny looked very good, and so did Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs being the game that impressed me the most using the hardware. But it was Final Fantasy 15, formerly known as Final Fantasy Versus 13, and most importantly, the game that I have said repeatedly through this web channel, the only game that would sell me on a Sony platform, Kingdom Hearts 3 finally revealing itself after a 9-year wait with just a teaser. But the fact that it exists is enough to drive me to this console. But most importantly, Sony did sell me on their multitude of entertainment options, their revitalized and reinvigorated PlayStation Plus, which looks like it's going to become a regular subscription service to use, which I have always said independently that this should be the case. If you want to be dedicated to your online, then fans should be willing to pay for that excellent and always growing work. Also, also, Sony talked a Sony talked a little bit about their cloud service. However, the cloud service and their instant game catalog will not be available at the console's launch, which is really disappointing because this is one of the finer aspects that Xbox will have at launch and quite frankly relies on is the cloud. But also, its sleek, almost slim PS2 design echoes times of the past while giving a sleek, cool look that looks towards the future. And it's absolutely amazing what this smaller box can pump in terms of graphical hardware. But the big thing that Sony won over a lot of fans with and me was their dedication not only to gamer first, but but also addressing the Xbox's major concerns about used game and DRM, refusing to jump on the bandwagon and staying with the status quo. Now, granted, I find this an actual bigger long-term problem, but right now, for this moment, it looks great for gamers and will keep services like GameFly, Fly Alive, at least on the PlayStation side, and GameStop breathing a slight sigh of relief. But the most shocking thing about the PlayStation 4 presentation, and yes, they did show the Vita and giving teasers of games that could be there, was the price. At a humble, and this is surprising for Sony, $400 price tag, this practically makes the Nintendo Wii U completely useless and completely outperformed. But it also puts Sony in the driver's seat in terms of next-gen hardware. With the cheaper $100 price tag, plus a lot of the concerns and hatred over used game DRM, Sony has seemed to put the 8 years of pain, anguish, and mistakes behind them, and finally seems to be back on track in my view. And as long as they keep driving the focus of games and while still improving their social aspects for the PS4 in years to come, which is the big selling point of why I'm going to the One, is the social aspects. But if they can improve their online network and social aspects for the years to come, the Sony PlayStation 4 could be a great second option for me and for other people that need another console outside of, when they're not at home online, mine with the ability to play Xbox. Granted, we still don't know how the PlayStation 4 will launch and whether they'll launch with legitimately good titles to supplement this momentum. But if they do, and this is even coming from a Microsoft consumer, Microsoft will be in major, major trouble, seeing that they put themselves in a kind of shady governmental trust hole, while Sony is giving back to the gamers for putting up with the years of mistakes and misforgotten promises. Granted, I would have thought Sony that more games physically on on display. However, with the display of games they did show, and trust me, Final Fantasy 15, the new IP, The Order, and countless others, did in fact look impressive enough and powerful where, for me, there were moments of genuine shock and awe that it was coming from such a small box. Going into E3, I thought Sony would once again fall into their ego, their greed, and their nepotism. Instead, following up with their conference back in February, PlayStation showed off an unbridled humbleness, an unbridled and unregretted "we're sorry" to the gaming public for the last decade of shenanigans. It seems now that the next-gen console war that we are about to enter will turn no doubt into a bloodbath. A bloodbath, unfortunately, as I'll get into my next edition of the Scipio rants, that will have to deal with more used games and idealism rather than the games themselves. Sony has opened up the proverbial social Pandora's box with the announcements they made last night. Did Sony just win E3? With an emphatic yes, they have. But in so doing they have created inadvertently a controversy that may span the entire generation. A controversy that will determine the future of gaming publishers, developers, and the industry at large. But as for last night, Sony came out and they won the championship. Something they haven't done in a very long time. With my keyblade held high and proud to say it, and I'm even prouder for the fandom. Let me just say, I'm proud, PlayStation. You have returned, looking to win. And I cannot be happier. As a gamer, as a person of the industry, for me to have to decide between Xbox One and PlayStation 4 was my desire. And you have accomplished that desire tenfold. And that's the grade you're getting. A 10 out of 10 from me. About Nintendo. Have something when they decide to say something. But until then, live life by the code.